A lot has happened, and honestly, I've searched for time to do this so many times, but I couldn't find time. Every day I went to sleep very late, and I woke up pretty early. So there's some good news, then there's some bad news. The good news is there's some progress, some good progress. The bad news, not fast enough. And one of the mentors I am looking at, he told me, I disagree with you. You're thinking about this whole wrong. You Let me see if I can show his message without showing the person. Okay, so I just took it from WhatsApp. So he sent me, there are those that understand and accept that art may be messing up, as he put it, is the worst way to learn what you're doing. Your fear is in misplaced, and stop being fearful and enjoy the ride. And take a look at the long picture and appreciate that if it were easy, everybody would do it, obviously. Everybody would be successful in a small segment of everything that happens around you. Relax more. It's much better way to be with clients, and everybody feels it. Now, I gotta say, I was a bitch. Okay, I was very emotional because something happened. Um, Let me see if I can show this. I think I showed this before, but maybe I didn't. So here it is. Um, yes, it was a day later. So a day later, I sent this message, and that was a bitch message. Gotta say, I was just too focused on the darkness. You can pause if you want, but I'm sure it's not really interested um, for you because everybody cares about themselves more, and that's the way of life. But if you'd like to read, that's everything that here. This is the critical part. I believe the next few months are going to be the most critical months of my life. No matter how empty, how much pain and regret I feel, I must push one final push, one final strongest push. And I must say, I didn't say this here. I was way too emotional and I focused on the bad. Now, I've tried to explain, I'm mad at myself not for not reaching a certain number. I'm mad at myself for not reaching a certain number of calls, a certain numbers of action. I'm not looking at the, yeah, anyway, that's this story. Let's go back to some better news. So, what's weird is right after that day, I got my first client. Now, it's not an official client. I have a call with him tomorrow, but it was supposed to be the first official client. Now, here's what happened. I didn't handle the objection well enough. So, I went on a call with him. He was semi interested. He was eating while I was in the call with him. And then, like, he left out the food and, like, all right, I'm with you when I explained the system and how it works. And then he was willing to pay. He was ready to pay. But then he pushed back a little bit, and I coped. He told me, "Why should I trust you? Yes, you're saying you care. Yes, you do this. Yes, you do that. But how can I trust you?" And I immediately went back to all the times that I was scammed. I'm like, "No, I'm not like them. I'm not like them. Look, la da 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 da." Right? I didn't handle the objection. I just attacked back. And the way I attacked it was like, let me prove myself. Let me prove myself. I'm gonna work for free. The dumbest shit you can ever do. Why? Because this is a lose-lose situation for everyone. From his end, there's no commitment. From his end, there's no, okay, so he's willing to do this for free, so therefore there's not really a value to it. So I'm not going to actually invest in this. So if it can get me something that will be good, but yeah, he doesn't really believe that, right? It was because of me, I positioned myself bad. I didn't convey the value well enough. And it makes sense because I barely did any sales calls. What, I did free in my entire life? If we can call it free, maybe two. Anyway, the another thing that happens, they don't have any intent. I've sent him an onboarding form. I wanted to prove this wrong, right? That you can get a free client and they will be willing to put in the work. But what I've got was sadly exactly what was expected, right? What I got back is the most uninterested, uninvested, doesn't care. I've sent in an onboarding form with a very, and I explained in very detailedly why is it important and how the more he gives me, the more I can give him back, the better results I can give him. And he gave me two words answers, one word answer. Like, what the fuck? I invested all of this time for you. I've built this entire thing. I've told you what is the um, importance of this, and you actually didn't give a shit. So here's where I'm standing. Currently, my whole system works. Okay, in theory, right? I have the advertising. I know it works. I have the workflow that are fully operational, except one data mapping issue that I have. It is good enough for MVP, and I have my task for tomorrow. So without further ado, my task for tomorrow. First thing, wake up early. The last few, I think 10, 20 days, I went to sleep at like 5, 6 a.m. and I woke up late, like 9, 10 a.m. I want to switch it up a little bit. I'm not saying there were bad days, some of them were exceptional, a good night session. But from because what I want to accomplish tomorrow, I need more times of the day. So I'm gonna do this way. So wake up early, jump on another senior support call. The problem is the data mapping issue I have is not fixable by me. At least I couldn't do it. I've tried many times, but I'm wasting time. It's not working. I need senior support. The third thing I'm going to do is to basically get the permissions set on the GHL account for the SAB account so I could just, help them join over and it doesn't need to, and I don't need to worry about him messing with the workflow and stuff like that, right? Specific permissions. Then I need to jump on a support call and get ready the full strategy of how do I onboard a client? How do I set up the payments on their end, right? The voice AI, the um, workflows, cost, all of that stuff. I need to be set it up on the client's end, not that I pay for everything. I need to prepare for the actual call with the client and build how this call is going to go. And most importantly, if the decision. So here's what I'm going to do in the call. I'm going to, first of all, tell him he fucked up. Of course, I'm not going to tell him this way. I'm going to be much more gentle. But basically, it doesn't seem like you want this. It doesn't seem you need this. It doesn't seem you actually want to scale. It seems you're comfortable where you are, and it seems you're not willing to put in the work. I told you I'm willing to move mountains for you. But if you're not willing to do anything for yourself, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, then I cannot help someone like that. So that's the first thing I need to establish. Okay, I need to understand if he is actually wants this, if he actually is willing to put in the work, because I'm not a servant. I'm a partner, and if you're partnering with me, I'm gonna move mountains to give you the best possible results. And I'm gonna take all the risk, but I'm not gonna do all of this if you're not with me. And I told you that in the very beginning, at the start. And you told me, yes, I'm in. I'm not like the other person. Even though it's free, I'm going to be fully with you. Bullshit. This was all bullshit. Anyway, that's the first part of the conversation. Second part is actually show him everything that's live. Everything on the call, the sales calls, was theoretical. Right now, I'm going to show him live everything. Then I'm going to tell him, listen, you saw my whole operation. And I explained to him exactly what's the next step, right? Week one, week two, week three, and so on. So you saw everything. You understand how the system works and why it works. You saw how much I'm willing to invest in you. Now, if you want to move forward, I need some sort of a commitment with you. So the commitment I need from you is the $500, and I put the risk guarantee on your end. So there's nothing you can risk. You can only gain. But I do need a commitment to see you're actually willing to put in the work. And if he pays, then I'm going to give everything to give him the best possible results. Even though he's a small company and it's not really the person I'm looking for, it's not really the person I need to target. If he pushes back hard, I'm going to try to handle the objection. But if he pushes back harder, I'm not going to fight him. I don't need him. I want to help him, yes. But if he doesn't want to help himself, I'm not going to force help him. And the last point I want to go over, if you remember last time we talked about that something is about to happen and I'm being tested. So even though the past month was super busy, every time when I went to eat, I spent time with dopamine. What I mean by dopamine, if you remember how disgusted I was with my, you know, recommendation feed, it is now so much worse. That's actually pretty good. That's not it. It's this. There's almost not a single business video. All right, this one. Two. Too many that are not fucking. Yeah, it is bad. Yeah, I need to change really badly. The problem is I did for it. I gave myself an out when I eat. But I need to remove all of this shit maybe to a different YouTube account, but only when I'm wasting time. And keep in mind, that's not more than 30 minutes, but 30 minutes compounds. Anyway, disgusted. Let's move on. That's about it. So you know exactly what's my goal for tomorrow. You know exactly where I'm standing. And also, one point I want to mention, I did not do enough cold calls. The moment I got this client, I think it was a week ago or something like that. Some 2 weeks, right? I've started working on the actual systems and stuff like that, right? That's something I do need to do because those systems will either way benefit me because those systems will go for any other company that I'm going to work with. But I stopped doing cold calls. There's not enough compounding momentum. It builds and I destroy it every time. If the call tomorrow doesn't go as it should, sorry, that's a bad wording, doesn't go, he's not willing to invest in himself, he's not willing to pay, he's not willing to show me he's fully committed, then I'm just going to go volume, cold calling, volume as much as I fucking possibly can. And I need to make sure that the goal is not to close someone. The goal is to create as many sales conversation as possible to increase my experience because currently I cannot even sell something for free. That's how bad I am. I cannot sell something. Hell, even if I pay them, I cannot sell them. And that's the only bottleneck I have. Two bottlenecks. The system, I'm pretty sure I'm good, right? I have a 7 stage system. I am more than confident with my system. And it wasn't always that like that, but the more I experienced and searched the market and understood the problems of my market, the more confident I got with my 7 stage system. So that's not the problem. But the problem is two problems: throughput, cold calling, cold SMS outbound, all of the other stuff, right? And interesting. And the second thing is sales experience. I must get those two much higher up, close someone on the minimum amount of pay, only stop cold calling when I actually got the payment from him and I actually start working with him. Then I'm going to focus only on him, delivering it the best results possible. And only then, after I establish a good um, case study and a very good relationship with this person, only then I'm going to actually go and hardcore cold calling, hardcore outreach, hardcore everything, and sales and everything. That's the plan. What will actually happen, only time will tell. You know, what's beautiful about documenting this journey, specifically the YouTube part, is you could see what I said I would do and what actually happened. And you can see the gap of why. Most of the time, if I'm doing a good enough of a job of explaining what I wanted to do, what I actually did. But the problem is be it must be more frequent. But the problem, I cannot get it more frequent. I barely do a full, breakdown. Okay, I'm doing something a little bit better now. I'm doing a full breakdown of 30 minutes increments, 15 minutes increments, an hour increments, stuff like that, like my full day. But until now, every day almost, I finished it very, very late, and late in the morning, I mean, right? 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 4 a.m., and started also late, right? 9 a.m., 10 a.m., stuff like that. And what's the reason I'm doing this video right now? How could I possibly do that? And the reason for that is I finished all of my tasks. All of my fucking tasks, except the data mapping issue that I cannot fix alone, or at least I tried, I couldn't. And all the tasks that I told you I need to do tomorrow. But except that, that's it. Also, important note, today was a little bit wasted. Let me explain what happened. Okay, so here's what happened. You can see my full day. Now, you gotta understand the GHL specific workflow I'm trying to work on. I've tried for so much time, so many problems. Finally, I got to the final last problem of the mapping issue, but, and this was the mission of the day actually, to solve the most critical mapping issue. So, wake up, start work, immediate focus on the most critical unresolved task, attempt to solve the webhook issue. Result, identify as a developer level problem. System is stuck in name mapping stage. Now, here's what happened. That moment, that the first time in a while that I didn't know exactly what I should do, boom, I lost a day. Like that. Like that, I lost a day. Look, what happened immediately after? I drifted into YouTube, into learning cold calls, into learning um, some other stuff. An hour and a half. Then I took everything and I built a system to analyze my entire day. What you're seeing right now, right? But still, I spent an hour on it, almost. How much? No, not an hour. 20 minutes? Yeah, about 20 minutes. Anyway, built a full business document including onboarding structure and offer strategy. Yes, I'm not sure if I could have done something better. That's the problem. I'm not sure what it could have done better. The partnership call, potential friend and partner in business. The thing is, he has no experience whatsoever, and essentially, I'm not sure how much he's willing to. Like he says, he's willing to go with urgency and with like hardcore, but I'm not sure how hardcore he's willing to do. So I'm putting it to the test. I'm going to ask him to do something very specific. Midday wrap. Minute to fog to the unresolved core technical issues. I wasn't sure what task should I attack next. Task priorities, identify tendency, prioritize rapid work, prioritize GHR client setup, developer's ticket, opening script, technical debugging, technical work attempt, work in name mapping in the system, clarity drop, cognitive overload, reduce discrete sharpness, not shutdown, but loss of clear direction. No progress. I was in my job. Not an excuse, but I simply didn't progress. I did build the sales system while I was at my job, so there was some progress. So this is actually not this. So it is from 5 till 9 to 7:54. So this is what I built while I was in my job: the opening script, the closing script, the full call strategy. Then I had the first meal of the day, a very large meal because I haven't eaten. Um, Energy drop right after the meal. And important, while I was eating, I opened YouTube again. And what happened next is an hour of video consumptions. After I finished eating, I was still watching the video. And then the next video. Even maybe 3 videos. It was bad. and work on the sales presentation from 9:45 to 10:20. And I finished documenting my day 10:20 to 10:30. Decision to recover the sleep early, finish the status, SMS, blah blah blah. Mm. Mapping issue remains, unresolved main blocker, operational but not loaded system, script strategy pipeline, significant progress, partially ready, performance evaluation, didn't solve the problem, the most critical problem, significant time leakage, performance drop. This day was failed, but not core effective day. Strong progress was made on sales supportive system, but honestly, I'm not sure if it was an effective day. I think I've spent time today, but it didn't work. It was not an action day, and I didn't do the cold calls because I give myself the excuse because I have that client. It's not even a client because it hasn't paid me, and maybe I don't want him even to pay me because he's very small and he doesn't seem to be interested in helping himself grow with me. That's about it, I believe. One thing I do want to mention, I noticed a significant need, an increase of need in dopamine. Not an excuse. I'm telling you what I've established since then, right? I need to get back on my feet in terms of dopamine reduction because I used to say, I could have said in the past that there's no other distraction except the one final battle that I'm fighting. And you all know what's that battle if you were in this journey. But now I gotta say it's two. It's the battle of everything and video consumption of YouTube. Yes, it's 30 minutes to an hour, but that's still a lot. And it's purely dopamine. Anyway, that's everything. I hope you're having a good day. I'm actually not sure if I told you what day is it in the entrepreneur journey, but you'll probably see it in the title. So have a good night, and I'll wake up tomorrow early. I don't know when I will do the next report. I want to say close, but I honestly don't know. It is hard to tell. I know what I want to do. What's actually going to happen? Not sure. But you know where I'm standing right now. You know what I need to do. Now let's see if I can actually do it.